It gets stuck at the bottom. Oh, hi. Yeah. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
It wasn't a long wait. I'm fine. It wasn't a long wait. That's okay. So, before we start, I would like to introduce to you the Kola Nut that you've had that now. You've been standing there for a while. The Kola acuminata, and then the bitter cola. When we're not going to use the bitter cola, but since she's there, she's there. So, before we even start, I would like to know, do you eat caffeine or do you take caffeine? You drink coffee? Yeah. Do you eat chocolate? You love chocolate. How do you like your chocolate? Really dark or milky?
All of it.
All of it. I like really dark because then it's got like so much of the of the flavor, which is the theobromine, and which is kind of very full. So that one would have like 2% of caffeine, and this one would have a lot more, about 3.5%. So it depends what you want to work with. I don't know if it changes the way our conversation goes, but if you have more caffeine, I think I'm getting more and more caffeine. So I get, yeah.
Do you want a break?
No, I will. You can choose which one, and I'll break which one you want.
Okay, I'd like to try.
You'd like to try the red, so you'd like to have more caffeine then. That means I'll get more caffeine too. So you see it's completely staining my table. Some of the older stains you can see here, never left. So this from other performances. And it just accumulates. Even though you wash it, it still stays there.
It changes colors.
Yeah, it does change color. So I will break it. I always say in terms of like when you have a ceremony for family, kids, and all that, they always talk about the breaking of the kola nut. So not the cutting, but the breaking. Because normally you break it open. And sometimes you can break it into 8 parts. Here we only have the 2 parts. And in some cases you can't use the 2 parts. Which one would you like? That one? Okay. So we have it together. Have you ever tried a Kola Nut before? No, it's your first time. Well, you've heard about it, no?
Just today.
Oh, really?
Not before today.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to talk.
Yes. It kind of squeezes everything in.
It's a little bit like a radish.
There is a part to it, earthy.
Okay.
But without the sharpness. So do you think it's something you can have another time or?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been hearing other people's words for it, and I can taste all those things.
Yeah?
Like the grass.
You can taste the grass, now you've added the radish to it?
And it mellows out a lot
Yeah.
from the first bite.
It really moves really fast actually.
Do you have a favorite?
No. I don't eat it. I only eat it for the performance. Yeah. And I remember when I was in school, I tried it once, but I didn't like it because I don't drink coffee. I don't take any caffeine or tannin. So, yeah, so I don't normally go for it. Yeah. But anyway, so I think by the time I'll go through everything, I think there would be some cards that I'll have done like 4 times. But it's okay. I have to increase my cards. I have to add other things to it.
Are there some that haven't been picked yet?
Yeah, but I won't say which
Okay.
ones. So you can, but you choose what you want, or you're interested in knowing, or that you kind of know about. Maybe I could learn something, or yeah. It's in French.
I don't speak French.
I did the whole thing in French, so I have to translate it. Okay. This one is just the extension of the map.
Like a legend.
Yeah, the legend. So it's kind of telling you where the colored areas. So what you've just eaten, the nitida, which comes, you see it around this area. It starts from Togo, entering into Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon, into Congo, and enters partly into Angola. So the Lusophone area, the Anglophone, the Francophone, and then the red one, which you took the red one, yeah? So you took the Acuminata. The red one is really in this region, from Conakry, Guinea, into Liberia, into Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and also cross mixes with Togo, Benin, Nigeria. So in Nigeria we have both. That's why I know both. And in some areas they only have the white ones. So it's just saying regions where the travelers said they saw this kind of color. And it's just giving the 2 types of color, like the nitida, which has, the nitida has like 2 of this, when you break it open. And then you have like the acuminata, which would have more than 2. So you would have it, you can break it into 4. Sometimes you have some that have 4 sections. And the more sections they have for certain kind of festivities and events, the better it is. So if we think of the Igbos in Nigeria, the ones that would use a lot of they would use both. And most times women are not allowed to break the collar, unless she's a special priestess for a special event. and which she's then allowed to bring the kola. But most times it would be used in like naming ceremonies or dowry. Like my brother was going to get married to a lady that is from the Igbo region, and one of the lists on the dowry list was a kola nut or kola nuts. And you cannot have the ceremony without breaking. So when you meet, when both families meet, the kola nut is then cut. If one family refuses to take the kola nut, then there is a problem. The marriage cannot be held. So the kola nut is very much a thing about trust. So if you eat a kola nut, like I asked you, would you want to eat one? Somehow you trust me enough to say that I will eat it because I know that somehow you're not poisoning me, or somehow there isn't, there has to be a space of trust. And sometimes between families, they could be, the trust is not there. And sometimes we're able to calm down certain issues in families of where there isn't trust. The kola nut comes in. And there, if they want to solve the issue, the kola nut, because you're not only sharing it with the person that you're eating, but you're also calling the ancestors. When you taste the earthiness, it reminds you back of the earth, of where you come, where you will die and where you will go to. And so that earthiness is also linking you to the place where your ancestors are buried. So it's not just eating it, but you're also, and they call like your great-grandfather, your father, they call everybody on the line that has died from where you come from, and then it's shared. So you know that it's not just you, but it's connected to the terrestrial and it's connected to the celestial. And then you have to trust the other person, and trust and also believe that you're connecting to both their sides of the world, since it's also something, a food from the God, and also something linked with your ancestry. So there's this kind of, and you are just a vessel that connects both. So there's this kind of link to spiritual thinking, and also linked to a kind of ancestral connection, linked to the earth, which you get in the taste that reminds you, and linked to the people and the community you live in. So it's a plant that is very crucial on those kind of like lines that connect from different angles. So you know that once I share it with you, there is something that is connecting us on different constellations, which is a kind of a powerful place to be in, because you're not just thinking of your own thing of I'm eating this, and it's not a selfish act. It's not something that is an individualistic act. It's an act that is really connected to so many things. So for a contract, for marriages, for burials, for all kinds of things, they are like very crucial to bind and to connect to other things and to create trust within different communities. So even if there was war or whatever, this would be a binding force between the families. And so you chose this. So from the legend, it entered into the kind of use of that. This. Why did you choose this?
I chose the flower because I don't know what the plant, I don't know where these come from. I don't know what the plant looks like that they come from. And this one just looked pretty.
So this, I think here also on the table, it gives, I think we have it here too. I kind of took drawings that have the dissection of the knots. So this is how you would see it in the pod. So this is like half of the pod.
And each of these is one of the knots?
Each of this is a knot.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you start seeing the knots here, like each one is. So you can actually just plant this again, and then it will, because of this thing here, it will allow, like we see it here, for it to grow out. And then a tree can be The Botanical Gardens had a Kola Nut tree. So I was very excited when I asked, like, oh, I'll be performing here. Would you guys have a Kola Nut tree? And they said, yes, we will see where if we have it in it. And then when I arrived, they're like, it died. So I was very sad because it's been a very long time I haven't seen a Kola Nut tree. But I was extremely happy because there was the cacao tree, which is connected very strongly. They're from the same family as the Kola Nut tree. Then I saw other plants like the banana tree, which is the tree that helps the Kola Nut tree to grow. And so most times in villages or in certain places that they grow the Kola Nut, you would have the Kola Nut tree seed in there, and they would plant small banana trees or next to it. For shade. And so the tree would grow according to the banana tree, and then at one point in time, the tree, when it doesn't need the shade, grows higher than the banana tree. And then, so I was quite happy to see a banana tree here because I was, in a way, it kind of creates a kind of connection to the Kola Nut tree in a strange way. And so by the time the tree grows, and it's like, let's say, about 3 years or so, then it starts having the flowers. And in some cases, the flowers could be like very white, like that, and then have those pink petals. But I've never seen it in real, because I've only seen the tree without the flowers. So I was also very curious when the first time when I saw the images, and then I saw the flowers, I never knew that it brought out those flowers. And then from there, you also have after a while, like you get the pods, and the pods then contain about 8 of these nuts, which in the same way as the cacao tree, you have a pod in which you have all the seeds in it, in which then we make chocolate out of. So it has the same kind of like pod that contains the fruit, you know. And so if I take that into here, I think I talked about it earlier, about this research of the nut itself and how it entered into products of pleasure and how it became also part of a whole thing this is around like the early 20th century, end of 19th century. And the French did a lot of research on the Kola Nut. They did a lot of research on many products. So I was wondering, why didn't the Kola Nut become one of those products that we find like banana, that are exported, that are easy to get from one place to another? How come the Kola Nut did not join those kind of products that we find now easily in supermarkets, or things like banana or pineapples or mangoes? And I had a discussion with someone that said at that point in time, with the ethnobotanical researches, it was also to see if this kind of plants could actually resist and multiply at a very accelerated rate, or that if it's planted elsewhere as a plantation, can it be cultivated and can it easily enter into a kind of market? Because that's the beginning of thinking of also a system in which you can actually transport things, and then in which you can sell, and in which you can have derived products. And Kola Nut was one of those ones that were because I read a few articles or in the research that it needed a particular soil, it needed heat, it needed this, it needed that. It needed too many things for it to enter into the indexing of plants that could enter the market. So the global market of the price of banana was already decided very much in the early 20th century. And then it becomes a product that can be multiplied or planted in many regions, and then it can be exported because it's not as complicated as a material. And Kola Nuts needs about 7 years. 5 to 7 years. And it needs a specific soil. So Dr. Herkel, who was one of those guys that were doing a lot of research on, especially for the French, they exported a lot of Kola Nut trees. So they would actually grow them in the parts where they find them, and then they would export them as little nurseries to Marseille. And in Marseille, they would look and see how and also experiment with them and see how they would grow and experiment with the fruits and experiment with things. So at the end of the day, it wasn't one of those products that entered into the kind of huge, let's say, commercial, everyday fruits or things you would eat, but it entered into other kinds of products, medicine, and it entered into other sectors, but not in the same way as we have bananas or pineapple. Because it was quite interesting to see why some things were left behind and why others, because they were already preparing, wine with it, elixirs. So these were all the little products that were being tried out, but it must have been over time too complicated and expensive to continue that venture, and then it dies out. Any questions or any comments or any?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.